welcome everybody to Traffic Jam Live News. What a pleasure it is to have Ohio State Senator Teresa Fedor here today joining us. And congratulations on your 12th annual Human Trafficking Awareness Summit next week. So tell us a little bit about it. How would you describe the core content of the summit?
Well, the 12th annual Human Trafficking Summit occurred 12 years ago so that I could have the framework to educate and advocate to combat human trafficking for my colleagues to get legislation done. So we've been on this journey together, and we add new partners every year that have their expertise to add to our education and advocacy that we want to do. And the governor's on board. He has a human trafficking task force, and they're doing incredible work each and every year. In fact, they're going to be there talking about their work in the women's prison. You know, we want an exit program where the pimp is not waiting for them at the door. You know, our culture is to help them recover and put the parts and pieces of their lives together again. The AG, he has initiative. I, many years ago, put an AG human trafficking commission together, and anybody can join. There's no appointment by any elected official. Anybody can join that has a passion to help us. We have experts across the United States. Linda Smith from Shared Hope International has been guiding us all these years, and her team, and we've gotten legislation together that she has put forward for the nation to standardize so we can combat this together. So there's no neighborhood that's vulnerable for their children or the most vulnerable to be trafficked. We have Polaris Project coming in, and they're going to explain what they do and explain the hotline number. You know, we're 4th or 5th in the nation for the number of calls that go into that hotline to be rescued or to identify someone that may be trafficked. And I often say, well, that's because we're educating and advocating, and people know where to go to get help, even the survivors themselves. So that's how I explain that, you know, ranking. We have experts like Dr. Patricia Speck from the University of Alabama at Birmingham School of Nursing. She does incredible research on trauma and how it affects our bodies and how we can heal ourselves. But the trauma-informed care and framework that we're putting together in Ohio is based on science. And it's not sitting on a shelf. We are going to apply the latest research on helping individuals protect themselves, and infant mortality is directly tied to trauma. So I think that's really important for people to understand. We also have an initiative in my hometown, Toledo, focus on youth runaways. And when you think about how we grew up, law enforcement just said they'll eventually come back. But we are now looking for our children who are running away and asking the most important question, and that is, what are you running to? Why are you running away? Because it's not a natural course for our children to want to run away. We want to love them. So we crossed with the AG's initiative, have worked with law enforcement where 40 units across the northern part of Ohio have units looking for our most vulnerable. It's our youth running away. So that's a new initiative to brag about here and to help educate and build more. We have a solution-based strategy by Autumn Burris from California. She's a survivor and CEO and founder of Survivors for Solutions. And we are a survivor-driven process to help correct and put the proper role of government in place, not the broken one. We're going to build a proper one to be responsive and responsible to correct the course for citizens to grow up in a safe and healthy environment. We have expungement expansion. We are going to expand the expungement for anyone who's been a victim of trafficking so that they can get a driver's license, they can get a job, they can go to college, they can get their children back. We have the issue of labor trafficking in Ohio and some really big cases. So we're going to take a look at that, see what else we can do to combat it. And I think what's most unique about what I've done over the 12 years is I put together the survivor voices through their eyes in asking them, what do we need to correct this? We listen to them so they get to share their stories And my passion is to really help the foster care system. My passion is to really help children's services. We were 50th in the nation 2 years ago on state funding for children's services. And then when the juvenile court justice system came along and said, hey, we have a human trafficking victim. If children's services could identify them as a runaway, they don't have to take them. So I had to change that law. So what we're doing is we're correcting and rebuilding and making our government response better to protect every human being so that they're not sold like a commodity. And the internet has exacerbated this situation, especially during a pandemic. I've heard, statistics that say 300% increase. So, we have to deal with this. We have to tell our parents, shut off that chat room on those gaming. We need to help parents arm themselves on how to protect them from the internet and their children. So, a lot of work to do. We do it by building partnerships, developing relationships, and moving together as a unit. My background as Air Force veteran and a teacher, I really use that skill set for us to accomplish the goals in Ohio. And we do it bicameral, bipartisan. We have Republicans, Democrats, House, Senate, Governor, AG. And I happen to be a Democrat in the super minority, and I still got the job done. And still leading the way on where we need to go to combat human trafficking. So it's really not about party, it's about people. It's about your passion to make this happen, because we are the government. And the proper role of government is to listen to us and what we need to build a healthy life in this country, and making our tax dollars work for us, not against us.
Well put, Senator. One more question. If you were to share a good story, what positive story would you share in the state of Ohio in the battle against human trafficking?
I would say that through the survivor voices and through their eyes and honoring them. I remember the first hearing 12 years ago, probably even longer. I had victims come forward in front of the Judiciary Committee, and they were asked, why didn't you leave? You could have just left. You have free will, you can leave. And it was really rough. It informed me that, boy, there's a lot of work to do to get them in the powerhouse, where it's their house. They're telling their story, and they're honored, and they're respected, and we listen, and we adjust the laws accordingly. I think that's the best story. So now 12 years later, I have a reception for the survivors the night before, and every big schmuckety-schmuck politician shows up. And they're there to honor the survivors of human trafficking. So we've turned that page, we've totally turned the table, and guess what? Prostitution isn't the oldest oppression in the world. It's the oldest oppression in the world. And we have turned thousands of years upside down on its head, just by moving together and getting this done, and for humanity's sake. I don't want today's children that are born today to have to face some of the struggles that my generation, your generation, today's generation that has to go through this. Absolutely. So we have a job to do. We're going to do it together, and that's the whole point, is that we build those partnerships and we get the job done.
Excellent. A final question. If you were me on the outside, what would you share with me to say, Bo, you need to attend this thing? What would be the key kicker to get me to watch next week?
Bo, you're going to make the best friends you've ever had, because that's what's happened to me. I'm so honored to meet all these folks, and we're growing as a family and a movement. We have people from all over the world. South Africa, they want to know what they can do. England, Portugal, Ireland, so we're reaching beyond our borders into the world. This is an international issue. If we don't stand to fight against selling human beings as a world culture, then we are no good at all. All of our other efforts were just spinning our wheels and wasting our time. If we correct this one issue, we have corrected all of the other things that we spend thousands of hours and billions of tax dollars on. And we can't get to it really until we correct the course on this one issue. That's my conclusion. That's how I'm a problem solver in the state of Ohio and trying to address these issues. I want strong public education. I want a modern public education. I'm a classroom teacher of almost 18 years, legislator. This is my 21st year. And these are the solutions. Our government institutions can help work for us in the proper role of government. Not if we don't like government, it's our fault, right?
Love it. Well, Senator, thank you so much for your time. We wish you tremendous success next week. And for those viewers who want to learn how to sign up and register for the event, you check our screen here. There will be the URL to sign up and register. And I'll be on there as well, so I look forward to it. Thank you again, Senator. Thank you for your time.